Well, a very warm good morning from here in Muscat. We're up in the media centre. The plain oval number 1 is across to our left for all those tuning in from Nepal. A warm namaste and Nayam Barsako Subhakamana. A warm happy new year into the year 2081. And a really nice New Year's Eve present was given to all the Nepal fans yesterday. They had to work hard for it, didn't they, in that Group A clash. I'm going to run through all 4 games that we saw yesterday and preview a little bit of what we will see today. We'll start with that Nepal contest. It was a close one, and I have to say Malaysia played outstandingly well, particularly with the ball and in the field. I thought they did everything right, bowled very few extras, kept things very, very tight, and generally Virendeep Singh got his bowling options really, really well. I thought Mohammad Wafiq at the end bowled excellently. He was chosen to bowl those 4 key overs of 14, 16, 18 and 20, and Malaysia so nearly defended what we all felt was very much an under par total. With the ball, Nepal were excellent, particularly Dipender Singh Airi. 8 bowlers used, which for me is probably 1 or 2 too many. I think 6 is the modern trend in the T20 game, but there's so many options for Nepal. They've decided to go with the 8, even though there was just the 1 over of Kushal Malla. The standout by a distance was Dipender Singh Airi. I think he finished with 2 for 14 from his 4 overs, and then with the runs that he added to that, he ended up with the Player of the Match award yet again. But after the end of the first innings, you were really expecting a simple chase. Virendeep Singh was the mainstay of that Malaysian innings. He scored 72 off 57 balls. Just struggled a little bit to get going, but compared to his teammates who weren't quite up at that strike rate, I think he ended with a strike rate of about 125. So if the whole team had done that, they'd have got up towards that 160. And 160 could well have been a winning score the way Nepal batted. They definitely showed a few signs. I don't want to call it fatigue, but just maybe the travel from a couple of days before, having only come into Oman quite recently from that SMS Friendship Cup. They were just a little bit rusty, particularly in the field. But ultimately Nepal got over the line, primarily thanks to Dipender Singh Airi at the end and that sparkling Gulshan Jah cameo, that reverse hit for 6 in front of what was probably 150, maybe 200 Nepal spectators here. It sent them into ecstasy, and ultimately the reigning champions got off to a winning start. Across on the second oval in Group A, we saw Hong Kong play out a very high scoring contest against Qatar. Now you have to remember, even though Nepal qualified the last time, before that the 2 previous editions of the ACC Premier Cup, or the Asia Cup qualifier as it's been known at some stages, it was Hong Kong that took those qualification spots. So in this format in particular, I was in Oman, I think it was 3 years when we had that Asia Cup qualifier with the Star Sports broadcast, the big cameras that came into town, and we saw Trent Johnston as the head coach of Hong Kong then, and they took the qualification spot, travelled across to Dubai to take on both India and Pakistan, where again I thought they acquitted themselves pretty well. Nizakat Khan was the star with the bat. He made 59 off 37, and 201 is the highest score of the tournament so far. It's the first time 200 has been crossed. I don't think it'll be the last time, because generally the playing surfaces that we've seen here have been very, very good indeed. And credit to Qatar, they got off to a flying start. I think they were 75 for 1 at one stage in the chase in the 8th over, right up there with the rate. Saklan Arshad made a 33 ball 50, although he's dismissed the ball after, and it was the grand old statesman of Hong Kong cricket with 4 for 31, Isan Khan. I don't know what age he is now. He's in his 40s though, and he just keeps doing Hong Kong. Incredible contests, and in fact, really, for the vast majority of them, you felt were going to be upsets, particularly across at ground 2. We'll start there. Kuwait posted 178 for 8, with Clinto Anto making an 1850, the fastest of the tournament so far. Ali Nazir, the all-rounder for UAE, was the star. With the ball, he took for 26. As Kuwait just struggled a little bit at 190 or 2. That could well have been 90 or 2. That could well have been a winning score. Instead, they slowed down a bit, and they ended up with 178 for 8. From there, 20 overs. Then UAE, they had the worst possible start. They couldn't have got off to a worse one. It was 2 wickets and 2 balls from the first and second ball of the game. What's that? A diamond duck and maybe a golden platinum duck. I don't know what you want to call it. But they were in all sorts of problems. None for 2. Mohammad Wasim was clean bowled first ball, and then the second delivery, I think it was Tanish Sori that was trapped LBW by Shahrukh Kudus, who bowled really nicely, just getting the ball to nip back in. But after that, Kuwait's much vaunted spin attack with those two very good left arm spinners. They weren't able to tie things down, and the seamers got it all wrong. And we somehow didn't just get into the game. They dominated the game. They won with 15 deliveries to spare. Alassane Sharafu hit 90 off 48, and it was a career best in T20I cricket for Lala himself, Asif Khan, who I think at one point might have hit 4 sixes in a row, or certainly 3 sixes in a 4. And he really accelerated. Often takes a while to get in, but when he does get in, he can go absolutely huge. That was at Oval 2. In the end, UAE took the win by. It looks easy, but it really wasn't. The trouble. For Oman versus Bahrain, the game we were bringing you here, and hopefully you've really enjoyed the coverage, not just on the Asian Cricket Council YouTube channel, on Kantapur TV, Kantapur Max back in there, and also Fan Code in India. That was the game we were commentating on here alongside Mikhail Vaswamy. I was with him again today for this morning's contest. So it was Oman versus Bahrain. Oman posted 177 for 3, which sounds like a good score, but at overs they were in all sorts of trouble. They were 130. They weren't able to pick up boundaries, and Aqib Ilya, he ended up with 62. It wasn't his best innings. He was dropped on 1. He made it off 53 balls, could never really get too many out of the middle. He only hit 4 boundaries in total in the innings, and came from consecutive deliveries. So he really wasn't at his very best with the bat or with the ball. He was expensive with the ball, did pick up 2 wickets, ended up going for 41. Was Zishan Maqsood the hero? I think he ended up with 40 off 25 at the end to drive 27. They plundered 47 runs off the last 3 overs. I thought Bahrain got their tactic, and they bowled two medium pacers in the 19th and 20th rather than some of their primary bowlers, and their 2 left armers only bowled 2 overs apiece. That was very costly. Even needing 178 to win, though, Bahrain were well in the chase. In fact, they were ahead of the chase despite the loss of those early 3 wickets. They were in big trouble, but a good 4th wicket partnership that put on 92 for the 4th wicket between the 2 Alis, that's Haider Ali and Imran Ali. One of them made 47 into the game. The big problem was, though, they had a player off injured. One of their main batters went down with a back injury. He was not even padded up towards the end, so they had to chase it down with 10 men. And in the end, they made it 11 off the final over that they needed. Boundary off the first ball made it 7 off 5, but ultimately Bilal Khan held his nerve. For me, he was the standout. In fact, he should have been the player of the match. I thought he was exceptional the way in which he bowled. He just is a clutch bowler, isn't he? Hit the block hole at the death. And even though it was a really good effort from Amir bin Nazir, who made 38 off 26, because he couldn't take the single, he couldn't trust Abdul Majid at the far end with Sohail Ahmed off with that bat, meant that ultimately Bilal Khan held his nerve. Posts and the rankings held. We so nearly had 2 upsets though. Okay, what about today? Game day 2 in the ACC Premier Cup. We've got 2 games, as always, in action, and we're going to start with Cambodia making their bow in this tournament. It's going to be a huge challenge for them. They have just 1 cricket ground in their entire country. That's in Phnom capital. The entirety of their squad comes from just 3 clubs. So it's David here against Goliath. It really is. And Goliath today will be Kuwait. So Cambodia taking on Kuwait in the morning game at pitch 1. Across at pitch 2 could be a potential upset again. And for Bahrain, having lost so closely yesterday, they'll need to get into that semi-final picture. So keep your eyes on that one. And then moving across to Group A in the afternoon, we're going to see Nepal take on Qatar on New Year's Day. A big day. I expect a big Nepali crowd again. That will be here on the main, and then across on Oval to Malaysia against Saudi Arabia. Don't rule out Saudi Arabia in this tournament. Very good bowling, very good fielding side, very well coached too by Khurram Khan, the former Afghanistan head coach. So keep your eyes on them. Be interesting to see how they go throughout. With Malaysia having lost yesterday, similarly to Bahrain and Kuwait, they'll need to win today to get into the semi-final picture. Every ball will be live with me, Andrew Leonard, Mikhail Vaswamy. All my co-commentators will be with me today. Really looking forward to bringing you the coverage. If you're in Nepal, you can tune in live, both on the television on Kantapur TV and Kantapur Max, also on those Kantapur digital platforms. And then if you're not in Nepal, if you're in India, you can watch on Fan Code. The rest of the world, wherever you want, just tune in that Asian Cricket Council YouTube channel and keep up to date with all the action on the ACC's pages. It's going to be a cracking day 2. If it's anything like day 1, we're in for a real treat. It all gets going, well, in about 10 minutes time. I better get in there. We'll see.